Hello Thrivers, Heather here. I am on a family reunion in Kansas and we're here at a reservoir. It is muggy and it is hot, but we're making the most of it. Maybe in a little bit I'll get the courage to grab a kayak and go in with the family. I hope that your summer is going well. I feel like I've been a little bit absent, I guess, from the group lately. Just last week, my husband and I were also traveling and we had a really interesting experience. We volunteered as youth leaders for a youth kind of retreat for our church. And every 4 years they do a trek to Wyoming. And it's a pioneer trek where we simulate going across the plains. And we don't use wagons, but we actually pull hand carts, like some of the early pioneers did, and some of the early members of our faith did, for their religious freedom. So we dress up in like 1800s pioneer clothing as much as we can, and we grab some hand carts that they have here at this location, and then we go across the actual trails that these pioneers did. And it's an incredible experience with the youth to let them see kind of the hardships that these people went through, some of the sacrifices that they made for their faith and to have freedom, and you know, to be with their families. And so it's a really powerful experience, both intellectually, physically, mentally, and of course spiritually, as we put ourselves in their shoes and walk where they walked. And they give the accounts of some of these earlier pioneers. Hey Tina, good to see you. And the sacrifices that they made crossing these rivers, you know, even late into October and November when storms would hit and they didn't have enough food and they didn't have enough clothing or warm blankets, and many of them gave their lives along this trail. And some of them had to bury their parents and bury their husbands or their wives. They had to bury their babies in the snow. And it's just absolutely heart-touching to hear of their sacrifices and hear of their journeys. So while we were volunteering here for this youth trek, Ben and I were asked if we would play a role, kind of reenactment of a couple named Jen and Elsie. And Jen and Elsie had migrated over from Europe. They had crossed across the Atlantic in the ships, and they came and they rode on, you know, hot, muggy, sooty trains all the way to Iowa. And then from Iowa, they got their hand carts and they pulled everything that they belonged, all of their earthly possessions and their 2 children in a hand cart. And they traveled all the way from Iowa to Salt Lake Valley. But along the way, when they were there at that trail there in Wyoming, there's a part where the storms were so bad and winter storms can hit really early up there in Wyoming and Colorado, where I'm from. And they hit a major snowstorm and the temperatures plummeted. And Jen, the husband, his feet froze and he got the frostbite and then started to develop gangrene, so that he completely lost use of his legs. And he told Elsie, his wife, "Go on without me. I'm slowing you down. You're not going to make it. You need to save you and the kids. You need to keep going. Just leave me here." I'm going to take my glasses off. Maybe that's a little better. So you can see some of my real feeling as I was able to reenact this part where he's at the bottom of a hill and he's saying, "Elsie, just go on. Just leave me." And Elsie says no. And she picks him up and she puts him into the handcart and she pulls him for days on end all by herself. And so here I was at this conference, right, at this youth trek, and all the youth are at the top of this hill, and Ben and I are down alone at the bottom, and they're telling the story to the youth. And then we acted out. And so, you know, Ben is being Jen and he's saying, "Leave me, go on without me." And then I say, "No, I'm not going to leave you. I can't do that." And so I put him into the hand cart and I start to pull him. Now these hand carts are hundreds of pounds alone and it's going up a hill. And then I had to pull my husband, you know, he's 6'1". And I thought that this would be an opportunity where I could show my strength. And I thought, you know, here's a time where I'm going to show my strength if that pioneer woman did it, by golly, I can do it too. I'm a strong woman. I've been through so many things and I'm in pretty good shape, so I think I can do this. Well, I could only get up about a quarter of the way of the hill, and I started to really, really struggle. I was breathing deep, I was breathing heavy, and the sand was so slick, and I was struggling with everything I could to try to get up this hill with this handcart pulling my husband. And I realized when I was about almost halfway up the hill, there's no way I'm gonna make it up this on my own. And then just at that moment is when the rescuers came down the hill, simulating the rescuers that came to help the pioneers, and helped me pull my husband up the rest of the way. And I was overcome with emotion, not only because I was able to see the deep level of love and compassion that this woman had for her husband and the sacrifices that she was willing to make and the strength that she had, but it taught me something really interesting. I thought that I was going to be demonstrating my strength, and what I was really demonstrating was my weakness. What was revealed to me in going through that experience was not strength. It actually showed me my weakness. And I was relying on myself rather than letting go and letting God, right? You can say God, you can say universe, whatever power you believe in, but there is a higher power. And when we try to control everything ourselves, that's when we are focused on ourselves. That's when we are in our weakened state. As for me and myself, I am nothing. This is a scripture, but through Christ, I can do all things. So let that, interpret that how you want. But I realized that in that moment, what higher power was teaching me was that as for me and myself, I am nothing and that I am weak. But when I focus on others and I shift my focus outside of myself, that's when I'm strong. And that's what that woman did. She didn't focus just on herself and on her own strength and doing everything herself, but it was on letting go that she really found the strength to do the incredible miracle that she did. So I wanted to bring that home in the idea of letting go of what we cannot control and letting go of our need to try to control things and allowing us to become at peace with our circumstances and at peace with ourselves, and even that idea of letting go and letting God. In some of our master classes, thanks Pete, Martina, thank you. In some of our master classes, you may have heard me talk about this principle before. In our very first phase of PATH, our acronym, PATH, PATH is perspective. And we talk about how you need to, understand your partner, and you need to understand what their story is, why they're wanting to leave, right? And all these things. And if you note, there's always an element to this part that Mark and I teach, that there's the shift that has to happen of letting go, and I don't mean let go. I love the word surrender, but it doesn't mean giving up. And that's not what I'm saying at all. It's more at coming to peace with yourself and finding your inner strength. And how we do that is by shifting our focus off of what we cannot control and shifting our focus onto what we can control. And I've shared with you guys before, but it really drives home the point here, like with my friend who his wife was wanting a divorce, and he came over to our house, and he was begging for guidance and begging for, I just don't know what to do. I'm so scared. I feel like everything I do is wrong. Everything I do just pushes her further away. I don't know what to do. And we were sharing with him, like how to ask his opening questions, get communication going, understand what her reasons for leaving really are, all the things that we teach, right? But beyond any of that, and beyond anything you could ever read or anything you could ever hear anyone say about marriage and how to save a relationship or how to stop a divorce, how to improve a relationship, is that kind of internal shift that happens at that point of I'm in fear, I'm in desperation, I'm in so much tension, I am in anger, and all these different emotions that when we're in that state, despite even if we do those outward things correctly, like we ask the opening questions or we follow any advice or anything like that, they will still sense, our partner, our spouse, our husband, our wife will still sense the energy that's within us, the emotional state that we're in. And if we're in that fear, if we're in that panic, it will come across as a manipulation or something just to try to get them back, and it will push them further away. And so it's hard for me to articulate this. However, I felt like I was able to grasp it a little bit going through that pioneer trekking experience of, I'm focusing so much on myself. I'm focusing so much on me trying to control the situation. And however, what it really took to get there was letting go and becoming at peace with what it is. And that's the same kind of energetic shift that has to happen within each of us. If you are in fear, if you are in desperation, if you are in anger and you're in so much pain and just that state of, I will do anything to get you back, I will do anything to get this to stop, right? That we need to make that shift to learning to let it go and almost becoming, I think the way that we said it to my friend was, it's almost as if you know that you're going to be okay no matter what happens. Not that you don't want it to work out, because you do, but you have to get to an internal state where it's like, come what may, I'm okay. And when you make that shift internally and you let go of the need to try to control the situation and try to control the outcome and try to control the spouse and try to control every conversation or every interaction, that's when you find peace. And it's freeing. And it shifts you out of the fear state, which is in your limbic system, into that calm, centered state, which allows you to use the full reasoning capability of your brain. But beyond that, you just feel centered, even though it's still challenging, even though you might still have to pull your handcar up the rest of that stupid hill and it's hard, but you know that it's going to be okay. And you know that you're doing the very best that you can and that is enough. And that's all that is required. So let the rest be what it may be. So I hope that makes sense. And I hope that I can articulate it correctly, because it's hard to put into words, but if you've felt that and if you've been through something like that, then you know what I'm talking about. You know what it means to be able to let go of fear and let go of pain, to let go of anger. And it's one of the most important things that we could learn, is how to process through our emotions, not suppress them and not condemn any of them, because every single emotion, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, scared, nasty, awful, evil, any of those are here to teach us something, and they're here to serve us in some way. So it's not about not feeling those things. It's not about condemning ourselves if we feel those things, but it's allowing ourselves to feel those things and move through them so we don't get stuck in them. And one of the biggest challenges that I see people in when their spouse is pushing for divorce, when they're saying, I'm done, or I'm in love with someone else, or I just don't want to do this anymore, or I need to find myself, right? Any of those things that we hear, like the biggest challenge is that we get so stuck in that fear and so stuck in that pain. And just like me, we think that we have to do it all ourselves. And we don't realize that it comes in the surrender, in the letting go and saying, come what may, I'm going to be okay. That is where our power actually lies. And so it's so important that we learn emotional processing and that we learn how to steer our focus on what we really want. And that's why all of our programs are guided to help you do exactly that. Crystal says, yes, I am okay. And Ashley says, yes, I'm working on myself so much that I am at peace. Good. Yeah, exactly. And so bringing it full circle with my friend and seeing that he made that shift. And then her language about the entire situation started to change. She said, you know what? I know he's making these changes, not for me, not to get me back, but because he wants to really be a better person, whether it works out with me or not. And it's so much more attractive to her. You can see that she feels more calm and more at ease around him because he is now more calm and at ease with himself. And in my life, I've had to have that same shift happen where I had to face surgery at 28 weeks pregnant, complete left mastectomy, where the I can't think about it. The natal unit, whatever, right? They were right on board watching the entire operation to make sure if they needed to at any moment, they would come in and take my baby by C-section at 28 weeks pregnant. and I've had very healthy pregnancies. And so the idea that my baby might have to be taken C-section, my husband wouldn't be there, I would not be awake, and then would she be okay? Would she be able to function? And all of those things going through that, would she experience complications from the surgery? As a mother, it was terrifying, and I can truly say it was one of the scariest moments of my life. That was about 5 years ago. And now I just remember going into that surgery and being wheeled back there, and my husband couldn't go with me, and I just knew I had to turn it over to a higher power. And I remember feeling like I could relate so deeply with Moses' mother in the Old Testament, where Moses' mother had to save her baby's life, and the only way that she could do it was by letting him go and by turning him over to God. And she put her baby into the water of the Nile River, where there's crocodiles and currents and all sorts of dangers, and she put her baby on the water and just turned her sweet child over to God. And I felt like that's the only thing I could do. And Heavenly Father, please take care of my baby. I'm turning this child over to you because I want to take care of them. I want to protect them. I want to give them everything, but I can't do it. And I was able to find that peace in surrendering that need to try to control the situation and just letting it go and saying, whatever it is, it's okay. Whether I make it or not, it's okay. Whether she makes it or not, it's okay. I know what I want, and I'm choosing to focus on that with faith and moving forward with those actions, but at the same time, letting go of the outcomes. And so that is what I encourage you to do today and going forward. If that makes sense, and if you need help with that, let me know. Go ahead and PM me. We can talk about it some more. If you're stuck in fear, if you're stuck in pain, if you're stuck in so much anger that you can't even see or think clearly, if you're stuck with so much guilt or resentment and pain over maybe what actions that you've taken over the years, if you're stuck in so much desperation and pleading that they come back to you and it just seems like nothing else is working, then please let me know. That is what we're here to help you with, is to help you learn how to move through those things, how to let go of the need to try to control the outcome so that you can find that true peace that's going to serve you best. And so if you're stuck with any of that, then please get on a free breakthrough call with us and we can talk about it. You can get on a free breakthrough call at highthrivecoaching.com/apply. And we can walk you through, how can I get out of this fear? How can I get out of this anxiety? How can I let go of this pain? How can I let go of this guilt? How can I forgive? How can I forgive myself? So that you can get to that state where these challenges are maybe they're going to be the hardest that you've ever faced in your life, but you will become better because of them. And that is what this beautiful life is all about. My heart, my love, my appreciation go out to you. Thank you, Crystal, Naomi, and April. Let's talk about it. All right, we'll talk to you soon. And hope you guys have a wonderful week and a happy 4th of July. Blessings upon you, my friends.